Hi, this is John Doe with the DNB Academy, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make Foley hits out of your percussion loops. Alright, so to kick things off, what we're going to do is create our own percussion loop. Obviously you could use a pre-made loop for this, but this technique wouldn't be this good if you do that. Trust me, every single sound can be processed differently. That way we can use them to create different Foley hits. People use this a lot these days to create texture if you want to make something a bit more lo-fi-ish, or even if you want to just give that sort of vinyl crackling feeling to your drum loop, to your overall sound, because this is something that's going to be playing throughout the track, even though it's just like a sort of a layer on your drums. You can even use this obviously on other elements of your track, but yeah, let me show you the process. So for that occasion, I'm going to use the DNB Academy's Creative Suite Volume 1, and on the one-shot section here, we've got the percussion hits. Let's just choose something that in our minds would make like a pretty interesting drum loop. Percussion loop, sorry, I mean. Right. This sounds cool. This one sounds cool as well. Yeah, let's use some of these to chop individual sounds out of them. Even this one, we can get some of those congos. All right. Okay, I think we got enough sounds to make a decent percussion loop. Right, let's loop this section here. Now let's chop some of these individual hits out of this main loop here. Okay, let's delete the rest of it. What we want is just single hits, as I told you. So I can immediately, I don't need to hear them because you can pretty much read the loop. We've got like all these transients that mark the different samples. All right. Now let's decrease their size, most of them, and make something like this. All right. Okay, now let's just write something. Let me get these closer. Now it's up to you and obviously your creativity, because now it's just like laying sounds together to create a rhythmic section. They will need some tweaking, but not that much, because don't forget, we're gonna process them a lot and change a lot of its character to make them sound like Foley hits. Yeah, if we put this one here, I think this will sound cool. All right, let's loop this here. And maybe, yeah. Like. All right. So just for reference sake, what we're gonna do is just get a drum loop. I'm gonna use one of these as well. Just to put it beneath our perk and see if it fits an actual pattern. All right, cool. Now that we see and we can actually hear it, it totally fits under more complex and more polished drum loop. We got it nailed down. We might just want to decrease the volume of these samples that are peaking. I think that was sort of the only one. All right, now we got it. We need to load an instance of output's texture that we got here. Awesome. So now, moving on to texture. Let's give it a small walkthrough because this plugin is really, really awesome, and I use it so much in so many different things, but especially on drums. So, all right, first section here, we got our sample, which is pretty much a spot where you can drag your own effect, your own sound that will be used as a layer to your overall sound. But just to show you what this does, I'm gonna play you just a sound with the digital noise wide loaded in. See, we've got this noise layer, and if we increase the mix, pretty much becomes just noise. And obviously there are a lot of things that you can do here to shape that sound. One of them is the sample. As I told you, you can load your own to use it here as a layer because this plugin offers you a wide amount of different sounds to use. Then you got your own dynamics, which is obviously a limiter and a gate. It's cool for you to control the shape of your layers. Modulation with one LFO and an envelope, which can be assigned to the sound itself, to the filter, or to the sidechain section that I never use. But the filter, yeah, you can do some cool stuff with it. Then you got an EQ for the texture and overall EQ for the output of the mix of your original sound and the noise, the texture in this case. Let's call it texture here because this is what it does. It adds texture to your sound. So now that you check this, you've got your default settings that you're pretty much used to see everywhere, like attack, hold, decay, gates, and limit. This is like pretty much the macros for all of these dynamic options you got here. So yeah, let's start browsing our plugin because we have a really cool library of different sounds. And as you can see, there are a wide array. But then you got on the SFX section here, Foley. And here on Foley section, you've got a lot of different layers, like bamboo rattles, brush bristles, eggshells, a lot of stuff. It's really cool. So I'm going to show you how our percussion will sound. And our goal here is to give each individual hit sort of a different nuance. So we're going to be resampling a lot to achieve a final result. So okay, let's see here now. Let's choose our first sound, deactivate the second one. Now let's just hear this. Let's work on the mix. That way we will lose most of our, but we don't want to lose that click because that way we'd just be using the texture itself, and we want something from the original sample. And here, as you can see, you can pitch, and I can choose how dense you want your layer to be. Then you got your filter that you can obviously filter out, which can be cool sometimes, but let's leave it pretty much like this. Default, you want to have like this, the top section pretty full, you know. Sidechain, let's leave it like that, like this, and then the attack. This part is really important because we want the texture to hit as soon as we have our trigger, you know, and then we want it to hold the sound enough for it to actually be heard, but we don't want it that long, you know. So we need to find a balance, because you can hear it like, we need to find that balance. And then obviously the decay pretty much does the same in a way. And then we got our gate and our limiter that we're gonna leave it like this. And this is pretty much like default thing that you can do with texture. Then you can go deeper with the LFOs and assign them to other spots. And something that I forgot to do is to always use our texture EQ here, because let's assume that the perk sounds are sounding how we want them to sound. So the EQ for them, it's fine. But some of these textures that you had in this plugin contain a lot of low end, and you know one of those rules, just control the low end of every single other element so we have room for our kick and our bass. That's obviously most of you should already know that. So let's put an eye pass here. As you could see, there was quite some information around this area, and we don't need that, especially for percussion. And even on our original EQ, which is the overall sound, we can actually do the same. Not so aggressive, but somewhere around here. All right. Now what we're gonna do is create an audio track. Control T. And on this audio track, we're gonna use it as our resample track. So let's resample every single sound that we process. All right. We got one. So now let's start putting them aside. Now let's focus on this sound here. So let's reactivate it. And now let's mute this so we have the loop on this one. Let's get back to texture and let's choose another one. Like this bristles one. We're gonna leave the EQ as it is. We might pitch it down or up or upwards, like up to you. As you can see, like, awesome. You already changed from the original sound. Like, this is what we had. This feels like you just went on a field recording and grabbed like a really cool sound out of it. So let's follow up with the same process. Resample. We got it. Move it here. Deactivate it. Activate this one. Loop it. Same loop size. Loop length in this occasion. Now let's choose another one. This eggshells one. Let's give this a lot of wetness on the mix, because we want the crack to be, because as you can hear, there's a lot of things going on with this sample. So yeah, let's keep it like more textury. Awesome, really rich sound here. I think, yeah, on this loop we already did both of these because I forgot to turn this one on, which is cool nonetheless. Let's turn this one on. Do the same. This is a really fast process if you put your mind into it. We're just looking for different sort of textures within the plugin. Some of the sounds we're gonna leave more of the original. Some of them we're gonna remove some more of their own characteristic sound, such as this one. And this one's already... All right. Okay. So we can even get to this point and be like, all right, we got 4 sounds. We did our loop here. Let's keep it like this, just this small loop. Let's reactivate this just for guidance sake. Let's take this track out of its resampling mode. And now let's sort of redraw the pattern, and we can go random. That's the beauty of it. Now we can start to, like, even without playing the sound, we're gonna be doing stuff like this, like really small chops, and placing these sounds on top of the ones we had before. And we're gonna have this. And now to close things out, I'm gonna open up texture once again. And we're gonna brighten this up and add a little bit more noise to it. So let's leave the settings default, just work around with the attack and the ult, just something like this, which is usually what I do. And then we're gonna go to our digital noise or electric noise or experimental, like it's kind of up to you, but for this occasion, let's stick up to the basic noises and choose like the digital one and see what we get. Let's turn up the gain a little bit. Choose another one like pink noise, maybe white noise, yeah. Leave it on 100%. A little bit more of decay. All right. Now let's apply an EQ to it, just to wrap up this chain. There we go. On this EQ, we're gonna do the obvious and remove a lot of these lower frequencies. Now we're gonna select all of those clips and we're gonna consolidate it. This way we can play around with our transient design, make things shorter or get this sort of shakerish. If we crease it, we get this loop full of texture. Let's check how we edit, like original sounds. And out of this actually pretty cool loop, we got this. Man, it's really cool, isn't it? So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Hi, I'm John Doe, and welcome to my drum and bass production course for the DNB Academy. My real name is Ron Fregoso, and I've been making music for more than 15 years, which most of that time was under my previous alias called Frags. After endless hours on the road, more than 50 releases, and the creation of my own label called Surveillance Music, John Doe was born as a culmination of all those years of experience and hard work. On this course, you will see me build the track from the ground up. You'll learn how to design your own drums, your own basses and synths, while mixing all these elements as we go. All the files, presets and templates will be available in this pack, so you can either mimic these processes or reverse engineer them so you can take the most out of these tools.